Good evening, members of council, ladies and gentlemen, staff. I see that we have quorum, and I call this regular meeting for the Town of Pelham Council for Monday, January 18th, 2016, to order. We will begin with the singing of the national anthem, led by Councillor Papp, and I would ask all who are able to rise. O Canada, our home and native land, true patron of, in all thy Son's command, with glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north, strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Thank you, Councillor Papp. Thank you all. Sorry, Madam Clerk, you're saying that we do need an amendment?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, there is one amendment proposed under
Okay, so,
Section 15.1.
okay, thank you. So it has been, be it resolved that the agenda for the January 18th, 2016 regular meeting of council be adopted. Are there any additions or changes to that agenda? The CAO, council will know, has given us some information that we'd like to deal with under, what did you say it was, 15?
Actually, it's under Section
19.1. So would a councillor please amend the agenda by adding that? Moved by Councillor Durley, seconded by Councillor Ribiak, that we would add an item under Section 239(2)B, personal matters about an identifiable individual, and that would come under Section 19.1. Can we call the question on that amendment? All those in favor? Any opposed? That amendment carries. Are there any other changes to the agenda? There being none, I'm going to call the question on the amended agenda. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried as amended. Thank you. The next item is disclosure of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. That is any conflicts of interest that any members of council may have. Do any members have any conflicts they need to disclose?
No, Mr. Mayor.
Can it be so noted, Madam Clerk, that there are no conflicts?
So noted.
Thank you. This evening is one of those evenings where we have a number of presentations, which is absolutely wonderful. It's some of the things that we do to honor success and honor those that have served for a considerable amount of time. We have a staff person that we would like to honor first, and I would ask the CAO and the Deputy Clerk, Councillor Durley, to join me down here for a special presentation.
Deputy Clerk, I get
Deputy Mayor, sorry about that. Thank you.
Way to go, John.
Should we get Mark up here now, or? This is for Mark Level. Give him a round of applause. 25 years of service. So Mark was hired December 1990 as cemetery laborer, and around in 2005 the title changed to cemetery assistant. I have some notes here from your supervisors and others in staff that have worked with you through the years. So it says, Mark goes above and beyond for the residents in his role as cemetery attendant. He knows when regulars come to visit their loved ones and will go out of his way to make sure that the gates are unlocked for them. He returns after hours on his own time to make sure that it's locked up and secure. He takes pride in making sure that the shrubbery is well maintained, so not to obscure headstones and markers. He has worked closely with Christine Tunin, the administrative assistant, in a very sensitive situation, and has worked quickly and efficiently to please members of families of the deceased. He knows the cemeteries very well and often provides directions to plot location to visiting family based on memory alone. He is truly a dedicated member of our staff here at the town of Pelham. There's always a smile on his face, and I know he is always wanting to chat with me, see how it's going, and also puts forward improvements to how we might provide better service to our residents. On behalf of Pelham Town Council, I want to say thank you very much.
Congratulations.
And we have a gift here that you chose, Councilor.
Just so that you will know whether you're on company time or your own time. It's a watch that you could wear with pride. You earned it, and I'll put it in this bag for you, and you're all set. Congratulations, Aaron.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Would you like to say anything?
I enjoy my job, and I think I'll hang around a bit. Yeah.
He is a great.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I think we want to do a photo. There we go.
How's that?
Thank you so much, Mark.
Thank you.
Congratulations. We appreciate your dedicated service. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn it over to the fire chief now. We have some other presentations.
Mayor, council, senior staff, members of the public, members of the fire service. It's my pleasure to award tonight and acknowledge the long service years for firefighters in our department. Men and women, I should say that. I'd like to thank you for all your support and your continuing support. You're all active members, and I expect you to be active members for years to come, so thank you very much. So I could have the three DCs come on up and join us. I'd like to start off with acknowledging two members that were unable to attend tonight. Firefighter Dean Kulig from Station 2, with 20 years service. Dean's in France right now, and he was unable to. Tough decision. Our second is Captain Terry Beckett from Station 3, and Terry's in Florida, and was unable to locate. So we'll be presenting their medals to them in our annual dinner in the next month.
That's great. Thank you, Chief.
Starting off with 20 years in the fire service, Paula Park. Congratulations, Paula.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's fun.
Congratulations.
One more.
Oh, thank you so much. Paula, can we have you in the middle? In the middle? More cozy, more cozy. More cozy? Wow, look at this. I worked hard for this.
More. Not that fast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Paula.
Thank
Congratulations.
you.
Really appreciate it.
Next award, I'd like to call upon firefighter Henry Wutsky, 20 years service, Station 2.
Henry, achievement certificate from the town.
Very much. And congratulations. Thanks for your dedicated service.
Paula, ready to go back into the circle. Each.
Too much glare.
I gotta stand with him again? Thank you very much, gentlemen. Next award goes to Captain Henry Timmers, 20 years, Station 1. Congratulations, Henry. His certificate of appreciation.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
There you go.
Victoria certificate from the Governor General.
Thank you very much.
You know the drill.
All this brass here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much.
The next award, the final award for this evening, this is quite the milestone. We really don't get that much opportunity anymore to deliver this many years service. Firefighter Bruce Gerard, 30 years service. 30 years outstanding service, Bruce. Congratulations.
Thank you, Bruce. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Bruce, certificate from the Governor General.
These guys.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Well, we should have done that for the other recipients, but members of council certainly appreciate it. And while that's occurring, I do want to say that certainly the community,
Thanks.
members of council, staff, we're all united in the appreciation that we have for members of our fire service. The members of the fire service are dedicated, always on call, always there to answer that call. And know that should they require the service, they can call at any time, day or night. And to have members of the service 20 years, 30 years is just outstanding. And it indicates huge dedication and generosity to the community. And so on behalf of council, I say thank you very much. Thank you. Let's give another round of applause to all those. And as they're leaving, I do want to acknowledge that there were some couple of staff here as well to acknowledge Mark's service. So thank you. It's nice to have staff here as well. Thank you, Councillor Durley and Mr. Ottaway for assisting, and to the fire chief as well. Councillor Beatty would be the next item. It would be a report from our regional councillor. I understand that from the clerk that he has provided an update and will likely go through it at our next meeting. But he did provide that to us in writing, and we'll ask him to review that at that point. So thank you very much, Councillor Beatty. Now we'll proceed with the business of the meeting after those wonderful presentations. So we do have a motion moved by Councillor Ribbiak, seconded by Councillor King. Be it resolved that the following minutes be adopted as printed, circulated, and read. Minutes of the regular meeting of council of January 11th, 2016, and of the special meeting of council of January 11th, 2016. Any comments or questions? Any errors or omissions, I should say? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. The next item is consent agenda items to be considered in block. Are there any items that members of council, it's a small consent agenda item, but any items that members of council would like to lift for separate consideration? There being none, it has been moved by Councillor King, seconded by Councillor Ribbiak. Be it resolved, the following consent agenda items be received, and the recommendations contained therein be approved as applicable. recommendations arising from the Committee of the Whole meeting, and the motion, be it resolved, the recommendations arising from the Committee of the Whole meeting of 02. So what date was that? Was that the 11th? The 11th of January, 2016, be received and approved. We have staff reports of a routine nature, 2.1, which is 2015-2016 winter operations for the town of Pelham. And the motion, be it resolved, that council receives the issue summary report 2015-16 winter operations for the town of Pelham for information. And then we have some committee minutes for information. Two meetings of the Pelham Seniors Advisory Committee and their minutes from October 14th and November 4th. Do members of council have any items they'd like to discuss on those consent agenda items? Now that we do have snow, I want to thank the director for providing us additional information regarding winter operations in the town of Pelham. So thank you very much for that. Are we prepared to call the question? Oh, Councillor Papp, I'm sorry.
Just a small note that the Pelham Seniors Advisory Committee will be making a presentation to council at its February meeting. Just to give an update of what they're planning for this year and what they're looking at, what they've done in the past year.
Excellent.
So Chair Gal Hillier will be doing that.
Thank you, Councillor Papp.
Okay.
We look forward to that.
Thank you.
Thank you, and we appreciate their work and your work on that committee. So thank you very much. Are there any other items? There being none, I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Now we move to the mayor's report. I have a couple items that I'd just like to highlight. Not a huge report, given that we just had a meeting last week. I do want to let you know that I did participate on behalf of the community in the federal pre-election consultation that Mr. Vance Badaway MP hosted regarding their pre-budget consultations, and that was on Tuesday, January 12th. In that meeting, or maybe it was Wednesday, whatever the day was, in that meeting I outlined the business case for the proposed Pelham Community Centre and suggested that the Government of Canada be sure to include recreational and community facilities in their plan of investing $20 billion over the next 10 years in social infrastructure. And that was taken rather well, and Mr. Badaway said that he would take that to the caucus meeting and carry that information forward. There is an additional pre-budget consultation that Mr. Badaway is hosting this Wednesday. On the 20th. I know the date's the 20th. And I know Councillor Papp is going to be there representing the chamber as well. And so at the end of my report, I'd certainly open it up to members of council if they have anything in addition to the items that we've talked about that we can bring as part of that pre-budget consultation. I think the next item is something that happened today, and this is Mr. Ottaway and I, the CAO, presented the Pelham Council resolution that council will recall from December 7th regarding grant eligibility and the need for provincial funding for potential recreation, cultural facilities. We presented that to the pre-budget consultation done by the province, which is done by the Standing Committee on Finance and Economic Affairs. Very interesting discussion, essentially saying, please, as the resolution says, please don't put in a artificial ceiling on communities like ours that want to apply for grants from the province. You'll recall that in the fall we found out that we weren't eligible because we've taken too good care of our infrastructure and that our assessment was too high. So we asked them to please forego that criteria and allow us to compete, and we gave some suggestions following up on the resolution that this council approved in terms of how they can deal with that. So I've asked the CAO to circulate that tomorrow to council. So that is my report. As I mentioned here, if there's any members of council would like to add anything in terms of what Councillor Papp and I should bring to the pre-budget consultation from the town's perspective. And if you don't want to do it now, you can send me a quick email before Wednesday. Those are the major items I think that we've been dealing with. So if that's okay, it has been moved by Councillor Papp, seconded by Councillor Durley. Be it resolved that council receive Mayor Augustine's report of January 18th, 2016 for information. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you very much. Do we have another, we don't have another report, do we? Can we move to this resolution? Thank you. The next item, staff reports requiring action. The next item has been moved by Councillor Papp, second by Councillor Ribbiak. I'm sorry, I lost my, my agenda here for a second. I apologize, I'm out of order. Thank you. It has been moved by Councillor Papp, seconded by Councillor Ribbiak. Be it resolved, the council received the issue summary report for information as it pertains to file number, application file number PLC 0515 for part of block 12, 59M 406, depicted as parts 1 to 7 on 59R 15471, municipally known as 2, 4, and 6 Braden Way. And further, the council considers approving the part lock control exemption for bylaws part lock block 1359M 406 depicted on these plans, municipally known as 2, 4, and 6 Braden Way, as presented on this evening's agenda. Comments or questions from members of council on that item? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. The next item has been moved by Councillor Junkin, seconded by Councillor Kersey. Be it resolved, the council received the issue summary report dated January 13th, 2016, regarding the modification to the total rewards program for managers, and the council approved the recommendations contained therein as follows. 1. Eliminate the vacation entitlement, thus allowing managers to take the time and the vacation they need when they need it. And 2. Eliminate the 2 weeks lieu time/bank time that managers receive and offset with a compensation based on a 40-hour work week. Questions or comments regarding that presentation? Councillor Ribbiak.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and let me begin by saying that I think that the proposal is an extremely progressive and exciting one, and I think it really serves well to recognize and reward managers, the nature of whose work is far beyond the sort of thing that can be read out of a manual or done according to a schedule. I think anyone who's had experience as a manager knows that it's more of a state of being than it is a set of things to do, and one is a manager, frankly, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, whether one wants to be or not, simply because of the nature of the work and the challenges that come up. So moving from a 35-hour work to a 40 work week to a 40-hour work week, frankly, is pretty notional. It's the work takes whatever time it takes, and I guess you need a number to look at it technically and be able to compare one job to another or to work out the arithmetic. But frankly, I think we recognize that managers tend to work very long hours, and they're rarely constrained by the number of hours in their contract. And you give managers responsibility for large numbers of dollars and tremendous responsibility for things to get done. Trust them with an awful lot. Trusting them with their vacation seems like a no-brainer. That seems like something worthwhile. So I think that those are things that are well worth doing. They are progressive. They kind of take us into the next stage, and I support that entirely. I have a concern, however, and it arises out of the report that supports it. Reading between the lines, one might conclude that a reason for wanting to do this at this time is that, in fact, our managers may be overworked, may be lacking in resources, there may be an issue or a problem, and that for which this measure is meant to provide, if not a solution, then at least perhaps some reason to tolerate those conditions. And I'd like, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the CAO, just to hear that, in fact, this is by way of being reward, recognition, motivation, as opposed to the solution for a problem that might otherwise exist.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor. Mr. CAO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To answer the councillor's question, I can assure council that this is not a recommendation based on a level of frustration or a level of lack of resources or job satisfaction. Quite the opposite, actually. I think that this is a recommendation. Again, it is on a trial basis, but really to look at the area around the 2 weeks lieu that is given, as far as it's a benefit that we receive that really does not translate into any tangible benefit to the directors or the managers. So I think that just clears that issue up. We feel fairly compensated. The benefit that we have as far as that 2 weeks lieu is translated into the work week, and I think that's what we're looking for. I can assure council that and make sure you watch all their faces when I say this, but I think that there's a high level of job satisfaction amongst the management unit, the senior management unit. I know my colleagues and I certainly do work hard, but at the same time we enjoy what we do. We do it because we are serving the greater good and we're serving the public, and that's why we're here. And I think that that's something I can say with absolute confidence on behalf of all my colleagues here tonight.
Thank you very much, Mr. Say, and that certainly shows through their work and their leadership. Councillor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm very pleased to hear it. If it was a case of there being a problem, obviously this was not going to be a solution to reducing a workload or changing anything else. So the fact that this is by way of reward and recognition and providing the opportunity for people to take greater control of their lives and develop a better work-life balance, I think it's worthwhile doing, and I would certainly support it.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Any other members of council? Councillor Papp?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I didn't have a chance to be here last week when this was discussed, so it'll be very short and brief. The 2 week lieu, I participate that in another role in my other past. It didn't work. It just didn't work, I'm to be blunt. You just didn't have enough time to take the time that you needed. And so this is a very good step forward as a ward. I also am looking forward as it progresses through the year when you talk about towards all the employees, because when we had the employee presentation a couple of weeks ago, there is not a problem, but we do know that service expectations from our clients and our constituents is rising. And what we're hearing is we need to either address that by some workload analysis, some additional resources. But in the meantime, we know very, very well that the organization also, throughout from top to bottom, needs to have some form of relief and time to be able to re-energize itself. It needs, you just can't burn yourself out. It's not a secret that we here in Canada, as opposed to our friends in Europe, we work to the iron, as opposed to the Europeans. Not to say that but they do know that it reaches a certain point that you have to take time off. So I look forward to this, and I'm very happy to experiment. I'm also very happy, like I said, lieu time. I was part of a policy that was in place when I was a senior manager. There's no way you could possibly take that time, given the kind of responsibilities, and I know that all of them, when I see, if you did take the time, it'd be usually strained, and most times those managers would be back to work because they know they have responsibilities. So I look forward to this, and I'm very pleased that you look forward on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Any other members of council? I don't know if this is should be to you, Mr. CEO, or to the director. The resolution that's before us is that this change would be made, and yet the report speaks to this being a trial period for 1 year. Can someone speak to the trial period, perhaps the director, Madam Director? And maybe some of the milestones as well that we can expect through this? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, we do want to make sure that we're watching this very closely. We recognize that this is very innovative, and not a lot of organizations have adopted this, and we are quite likely the first municipality in Canada to do so. So we're going to stay very close to it. We want to make sure that everybody who is participating recognizes that it is for a trial. So dependent on our success will determine whether we go forward. So we just want to make sure that we have everybody fully engaged in the success of the program so we can continue it. So we wanted to make sure that we prefaced it with This will be a trial so that we can be very involved to make sure that we see how this rolls out. We will be presenting both a mid-year and an end-of-the-year report to council so that we can share with you the amount of time people have taken, perhaps some personal comments that they're giving us, so that we can see that when people truly do own what their vacation entitlement is, how it has helped them become more productive as well as have a better work-life balance.
Okay, thank you very much. And Mr. CEO, can you just speak to the involvement of not only the directors but the managers in the formulation of this draft or trial program that's been put forward to council, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The directors and the managers met and conducted a creative problem-solving process with regards to this issue. So we had a fuzzy situation, and we worked through the process, and this was an outcome that we arrived at as a group. So this isn't any one, it's not my decision as in isolation, or is it the HR directors. It's us as a group, and that's the solution that we felt using the process was the most, was the best solution to the problem that we had. So that's the process we followed.
That's great. Thank you very much. Look forward to hearing more about it and seeing how it transpires. I see that Councillor Durley would like to speak. Councillor Durley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question, when will this take place? Is it immediately, is it retroactive to January 1st, or there's no,
Okay.
in reading this, if I did miss it, I apologize, but
No, that's okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As soon as council passes this, I'm actually leaving on vacation.
Yeah,
It will,
on the night, there's no
I'd
football.
prefer the answer from the director, I'm sure.
It will, it'll take effect for the course of 2016. We'll conclude at the end of the year, and that'll be the end of the trial.
so it'll be immediately after, or it's not retroactive to January 1st type of thing, or no?
No, I don't believe any, well, I guess, yes, technically it would be to January 1st, but I don't believe any managers or directors have taken vacation yet.
But the 40-hour pay
Yes,
schedule?
sorry, that is
effective
retroactive.
January 1st?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Good, thank you. Good question. Any others? There being none, are we ready for calling the question? All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Looks like unanimously, so thank you very much. Look forward to hearing more about that, and, yeah, try it on a trial basis, so we'll see. Thank you very much. Now we move to presentation and consideration of bylaws. It's been moved by Councillor Ribbiak, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved that Council of the Town of Pelham, having given due consideration to the following bylaws. I'm sorry?
Don't we have to adjourn because we have an in-camera session?
Thank you, Councillor Kersey. We do, that's at 19. I'm now
Oh,
at 15.
sorry.
There are a couple of bylaws, and then we do have in camera. No, it's okay. And then the confirming bylaws, so. Thank you, Councillor. So it's been moved by Councillor Ribbiak, second by Councillor King. Be it resolved, the Council of the Town of Pelham, having given due consideration to the following bylaws, do now read a first, second, and third time, do pass the same, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to sign and seal the bylaws. We have two of them at this point, one later. The first is bylaw number 3701, being a bylaw to exempt a certain block in registered plan 59M406 from part lot control pursuant to section 50 of the Planning Act 1990, Ryan's Grove, Yugo Lucetta Construction Limited, file number PLC 0515. And the second bylaw, bylaw 3702, being a bylaw to dedicate a certain parcel of land as part of the public highway system, Canberra Road. Discussion regarding any of the two bylaws? There being none, I call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Now I believe what Councillor Kersey was looking for. It's been moved by Councillor King, second by Councillor Ribbiak, which is our normal process at this time. Be it resolved, the council recess the in-camera portion of the meeting and reconvene immediately following the Policy and Priorities Committee meeting scheduled for later this evening. Going to call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. This meeting is recessed. Let's take a quick 2-minute break as we move chairs. So thank you.
Are the Leafs playing tonight? Leafs tonight.